Welcome to Session 4. This is the final session in our strategic planning course. We'll be focusing on what is described as the Pest as well as the Swot Analysis. In critical terms, this simply speaks to the environmental factors. In Session 3, we went into greater detail around competition. In Session 4, we're going into some deep detail into the operating environment, because for you to be able to build a sustainable business in Nigeria or indeed any part of the world, that understanding is critical. So we'll start with the Pest Analysis. What does the Pest Analysis mean? It's really just an acronym of 4 different macroeconomic terms. The P stands for political, the E stands for economic, the S stands for social, and the T stands for technological. So we're looking at 4 critical things that impact on businesses in Nigeria or indeed different parts of the world. So let's start with political. Ladies and gentlemen, no business operates in isolation. You are a product as well as a function of your environment. If your environment is oppressive, it will constrict and restrict your business. If your environment is open and friendly, market friendly, and supportive of entrepreneurship, then you will see the private sector and the entrepreneurial class, you will see them thrive. So there are certain critical things that you need to understand about what is happening in the political space. A lot of us are apolitical. A lot of us totally distance ourselves from all things politics. But you cannot be an entrepreneur and close your eyes to the political realities, because guess what? They determine the policies that determine also the survival or the existence of your own business. So what are those critical things in the political space that you need to pay attention to? Number 1, taxation policy. Governments are the one that determine taxation, and taxation can be an enabler as well as a restrictor of businesses. So if you have a friendly tax environment where the tax rates are low on individuals as well as smaller companies, then it serves as a source of economic inducement to those agents within an economy. So if the tax policy is repressive, example, if you are paying a tax rate of 30, 40, 50% as company income tax, if you are paying 20, 30% as personal income tax, then it restricts your creativity, it demotivates you, because you start to ask yourself, why am I going to do all of this work if government is going to take half of my earnings? And there is really no accountability on the part of government with regard to what they do with my taxable income, right? So it is important for you to understand taxation. There are various legislations that have been rolled out by government. One of them is called the Finance Act. Please familiarize yourself with that document. That document has some advantages, particularly for small and medium scale enterprises. There are certain things there that will be of advantage to you. There are certain incentives that are in there that I encourage you to take advantage of, but you will not know about it except you go in there. Number 2, employment laws. The government is the one that determines employment laws. They say in Nigeria there is a minimum wage, and it means that every employee that you have must earn that minimum wage. If you are offering a salary that is below minimum wage, it means that you are operating in contravention of existing laws. And I understand that a lot of entrepreneurs will say, but I'm not making enough money, so I cannot afford to pay the minimum wage that has been imposed by government. I understand the challenges and the constraints, but I will ask you to look at it from a different perspective. Your people, your staff, your personnel are your most critical resource. So you need to keep those people properly engaged. You need to keep them properly motivated. You need to keep them properly incentivized to continue to deliver high quality products and services. So look after your people. There are certain things you can sacrifice on, but cutting back on your people's salaries, wages and allowances should not be one of them. Number 3, environmental regulations, health and safety. We operate in an environment where global warming has become an issue. Sustainable practices, ethical practices, practices, environmentally friendly practices have become the order of the day. So if some of you are involved in manufacturing activities, please ensure that you do not do things, or you are not doing things that are injurious to our environment, because we will end up shortchanging ourselves, because we the people and our children and successive generations are the ones that will suffer from our bad practices. Trade restrictions and tariffs. Government can influence your industry, government can influence your business just by a simple policy around trade restrictions. They can boost your business by saying, you know what, I am no longer going to allow Nigeria to become a dumping ground for substandard imported goods and services. Government can back you up in that way, and I encourage you as individuals. You may think you are powerless, you may think that your votes do not count, and so on and so forth, but there are various ways you can create some kind of a pressure group and start to influence government policy. So find other people who are operating in your sector, come together, form an association, form a pressure group, articulate positions and share those positions with government. Sometimes government listens to those things and develop policies as a result of those kind of interventions. So let us not be too pessimistic that things have not worked in the last 60 years, so it will never work. So please just do your own part of it. So trade restrictions can impact on your businesses positively or negatively. Expatriate quota, tariff regime, import duties, and so on and so forth. Government can increase import duties just to give the local manufacturers an incentive to operate on a fair basis. It does not make sense for foreign goods to land in Nigeria, and because of their superior technology and know-how, they are selling their goods at prices that are below that which is manufactured in Nigeria. So the customers will naturally gravitate to the higher quality, cheaper one rather than the lower quality, more expensive one that is typically available in Nigeria. Which is not to say that all Nigerian products are of superior or inferior quality. There is a lot that we are doing, but we are constrained by our infrastructure challenges, roads, rail, power, and so on and so forth. Finally, political instability unfortunately leads to inconsistencies in government policy. Government moves in one direction today, 3 months later they move in a different direction, 4 years later a new government comes and they totally reverse everything the prior government has done. So politics is with us. Human beings are political animals. You cannot remove yourself from the political realities, so you need to understand it. If you cannot change it, at least understand it, anticipate where they are coming from, so that you can take preemptive measures to look after yourselves and your businesses. Number 2, economic. This one is very, very important, and I've spoken about this earlier on, but I'm re-emphasizing it. You need to become knowledgeable about the economic realities, government policy, fiscal policy, monetary policy. What is the CBN governor saying? What is the Minister of Finance saying? What is the President of the United States saying? What is the President of China saying? You need to understand your environment. You need to understand the direction of interest rates. You need to understand the movement and the factors that impact exchange rates. You need to understand where and what direction inflation is headed to. All of this information is available. There is something called the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria. They meet every 2 months. At the end of 2 months, they publish a communique, the minutes of everything they discuss. It is available on the website of the Central Bank of Nigeria. That is information of where or how your economy is doing and what direction it is headed to. So if you want to know what will happen in the future with regard to interest rate, exchange rate, inflation rate, always check out the communique issued by the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Remember, I also spoke about the National Bureau of Statistics. It has a significant body of information, and I encourage you to consistently visit their website, find out what is going on. It's also in the course of preparing your business and strategic plan. Like I said earlier, they have a lot of information. If you are preparing a feasibility study for a new line of business, you will find a lot of useful information that will guide your business, that will guide the basis and assumptions upon which you are projecting your future operating and financial performance. Number 3, the social factors. The social factors. These are some of it are intangible, but they are very, very impactful on businesses. So one of the factors will be health consciousness. I spoke about the environment earlier. Environmentally friendly practices. People are very conscious now about health and well-being. So new industries are emerging. The dietary industry is expanding globally. The fitness and wellness industry is expanding globally. Ethical practices and so on, sustainable businesses. There are so many things. Population growth is also a factor, right? Our population is growing faster than the rate at which our economy is growing. So it is no wonder that more and more Nigerians are getting poorer. So you need to understand this, because this has an impact on your market. Remember what I said about your market, the definition of your target market. If more and more of your target market are getting poorer, it is affecting their disposable income and their purchasing power, which ultimately will affect you and your businesses. So you need to understand where that is going. Yes, you cannot stop it by yourself. The way we are manufacturing children in Nigeria, you cannot stop it. But start by yourself within your own household. Keep the numbers manageable and encourage all those who are around you to also keep the sizes of their families manageable. And that leads to the next point, which is demographics. As a result of this, our high rate of procreation in Nigeria, you have a predominantly large population, which is a source of strength on the one hand, but it's also a source of great disappointment on the other hand, because this our army of young people unfortunately are not educated, so they cannot compete in this emerging fourth industrial revolution. The world has moved 360 degrees, and unfortunately we are not equipping our young people to be able to play dominant roles and dominant parts in this emerging global economy. So again, I spoke about impact. This is one area where your business can also impact society. Let your business have a social element to it. By all means, make profit, but part of that profit, use it to impact society, because ultimately it is tantamount to you investing in your environment. It is tantamount to you investing in your peace of mind, because the more and more people who are in extreme poverty, the greater the issues of insecurity will continue to plague us as entrepreneurs. So you are investing in yourself by reaching out to the people that need support around you. And finally, in the pest analysis, technological factors. Ladies and gentlemen, it goes without saying, we are transiting. The rate of technological advancement is mind-boggling. We are now in the era of artificial intelligence. We are now in the era of the Internet of Things and 5G and all manner of things. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot afford to be caught napping. You cannot afford to be left behind the curve. It is important for you to, within your own sectors, look for ways of enhancing the quality of your product, enhancing your service delivery, bringing down the cost of your goods and services as a result of the introduction of technology as well as automation. So it goes without saying that every business must embrace technology. I don't care what you do. Any kind of business, from fashion to agri to oil and gas to financial services to education, everyone can be supported by an adoption of technology. I'll then go to the second and final part of Session 4, which speaks about the SWOT analysis. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an exercise I encourage you to carry out. Conduct a SWOT analysis on your own business. And the SWOT analysis is broken down into two parts. There is the internal analysis, and the internal analysis focuses on your strength and weakness as a business and you as an individual running that business. So understand me, we're looking at the environment. We're breaking this SWOT analysis into two parts. The S stands for strength, the W for weakness, the O for opportunity, and the T for threats, right? The strength and weaknesses are internal. What is internal is something that you have control over. What is external, unfortunately, is something you have zero control over. So the opportunities and the threats are external to you. You did not create the opportunities, neither did you create the threats. But the strengths and weaknesses are something that you have something to do with. So I'll run through that very, very quickly as we try to wrap up Session 4. For your strengths, what are those things? Your strengths could be those sources of competitive advantage. It could be that intellectual property we spoke about. It could be that you've created a strong brand, either the company's brand or your own personal brand. So even though your business is 2 years old, but you had worked for 15 years for somebody else, and in those 15 years you distinguished yourself in terms of capacity and ethics and service delivery and so on and so forth. At that, those 15 years have conferred on you a personal brand that you have brought into your 2-year business. So anybody doing business with your company will say, well, even though it has only a 2-year operating history, but the person running this business has a total of 15 years cognate experience in this area. So a strong brand, a personal reputation, cost advantages from proprietary knowledge or proprietary skills and so on and so forth. That all of those could be a strength. What is a weakness? A weakness could be you personally. Your brand is not strong enough. Your personal brand is not strong enough. You are located in the wrong place. You lack the skills personally. You don't have the expertise for that sector. You are a fashion designer, but you don't know anything. You don't know the technicalities of sewing. Then clearly that is a weakness. You do not have proper distribution channels for your business. That is a weakness. So what I would like for you to do, ladies and gentlemen, carry out an exercise. Identify, list out all of the things you consider to be your weaknesses. Then your assignment, your mandate that I'm giving you is, for every single one of those weaknesses, look for ways of converting them into strengths. So my weakness is that I'm not a good marketing person. I am a bit insular. I am not an outgoing person. So I don't like marketing. I don't like calling customers and following up with customers. That is a weakness, because your principal responsibility as the entrepreneur is for you to be the chief marketing officer of your company. So if you don't have that natural disposition, you are not naturally outgoing, maybe you are lacking in a little bit of confidence, you need to work on it and convert that weakness into a strength, because your business needs for you to be strong in that area. So look at all of your weaknesses and try to convert them into strengths. Those are internal analysis. The external factors are now the opportunities and the threats. I will start with the threats first, and because just like I gave you this analogy now, I want you to identify all the threats and see the extent to which we can convert those threats into opportunities. So what are the threats? Government policy can be a threat. Government can impose trade restrictions. They can impose what you may call capitalization thresholds if you are running a regulated business. Government can say you can't do business except you have £1 billion in capital. And that constitutes a threat, because so far or prior to that, you were running with 100 million. Remember that banks in Nigeria had to increase their capital base from 2 billion naira to 25 billion. That's an increase of 12.5 times. And they were given 18 months to do that. That constituted a major threat. And out of 100 and something banks in Nigeria, maybe only about 20 or so survived that exercise. So you understand what I mean by threats. Threats can also be external threats from foreign operators who land in Nigeria. It can be the introduction of substitute products, right? So how do you convert all of those threats into opportunities? Ladies and gentlemen, every dysfunction that exists in Nigeria, every need that is not yet met, every problem that exists, ladies and gentlemen, inside of those problems and those unmet needs lie significant opportunities. How do you create a solution to tap into? How do you come up with a plan to solve some of those problems? They say our education system has problems. Our healthcare has. We are not producing enough food in the agri space. Infrastructure is not enough. What can you do? The creative industry is not as big as it should be. What can you do to start solving some of those problems? Nigeria is one big bundle of opportunity. So always look at the glass as half full rather than half empty. So every identifiable problem, starting from your sector, start looking for ways of resolving it. An easy way of also doing is learn from others. We're in this world and we must learn from others. Look at what happened in other countries that have some similarities to Nigeria. How did they solve this particular problem that your own industry or your own sector is facing? Then introduce those strategies, introduce those into what you do. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very, very much for listening to Session 4, and thank you very much. Please imbibe everything we have spoken about in all 4 sessions. Thank you.